Alright, now that the holiday stuff is over, what's next on the plate? Haha, no, let's not do that. No, not really interested in that. No, I'm serious now. I don't want to do that. Okay. Heyo, what is up everyone? It is the ALPHAJAY of the ALPHAJAY show, and let's not talk about this Cartoon Network schedule primarily. I actually want to take this opportunity while we're knee deep in Teen Titans Go to say that Cartoon Network has hit the fan! But personally, what interests me more is the entire picture, not just the schedule. So let's put that aside for a second. Let's take a look at all of the shows currently airing on Cartoon Network and all of the shows that were on Cartoon Network in this new era. Regular Show, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, OKKO, Teen Titans Go, Ben 10, The Powerpuff Girls, Uncle Grandpa, The Amazing World of Gumball, Mighty Magiswords, Clarence, and We Bare Bears. Out of all of these shows, a lot of them have very similar art styles, or at least tendencies. The outlines are very thin, bright colors, minimalistic, quick, modern, flashy, designed to grab your attention, and can be put into GIF form every 5 seconds. Now before you go anywhere, let's take a look at some old Cartoon Network shows, and I will show you what I mean by animation variation. Take a look at Flapjack in the Environment. It's very dirty, rough, and uses a little bit of live action. It also appears to look painted. It looks very traditional, even if it did use digital means to get some of the animation. It also gives you the feel of a 1900s show. Contrast this with what I said about the minimalistic and modern ways of today's animation. Modern being in the sense of backgrounds. Even though places like Steven Universe, Gumball, and Regular Show take place in alternate realities, they are still depicted and inspired by a modern age. You also have Samurai Jack, which, not even using Season 5, was not designed to be put into GIF form every 5 seconds and did not mind letting the flow slow down to let things build up. Contrast that with shows like Teen Titans Go, Mighty Magiswords, and The Powerpuff Girls, which rarely have moments in which things can settle in. You also have shows like Camp Lazlo, Dexter's Lab, Billy and Mandy, and Ed, Edd and Eddy that don't have too much in common in terms of animation. Their color choices were not all bright, as shows like Billy and Mandy and Dexter's Lab generally have darker colors from time to time, especially Billy and Mandy. Ed, Edd and Eddy generally had a flow of fading in from black, wiggly outlines, and a Tom and Jerry-esque slapstick that did not mind going off model for a joke. Camp Lazlo went for very warm colors, such as yellow, orange, and browns, which although may seem bright and quick, weren't flashy and did not rely on being a very in-your-face show to get you to watch. My entire point with these comparisons isn't to crap on the new, as some may have done. I'm not that type of person. I'm just giving an example of the variety of different animation styles, and the reason I bring this up is to show that the variety in art and animation has dwindled over the years in terms of Cartoon Network programming. Even though the 25th anniversary's bumper animation was quite uniform, it also kind of serves as a metaphor as to how Cartoon Network has been slowly turning everything into a similar outlook. Now, is that bad? Well, variety is the true spice of life if you care. Maybe to a child, they may not see the difference, and to them, it isn't the biggest deal. From a financial standpoint, it looks very easy. It looks easy to make, it looks quick to make. So in that sight, it may not be a big deal. From a script writing standpoint, the animation style of a cartoon is irrelevant, as a show of poor animation can still have a good story, and a show of great animation can have a terrible story. So there is many cases where this isn't a big deal, but it would be a big deal in some cases. If we keep pushing that this is the way that Cartoon Network shows will look, would cartoons that don't look this way stand out for the better? Also, from a fan standpoint, it's always beneficial for the creator to challenge themselves and push the limits in their efforts to try and create the best form of their work. However, that experimentation and risky move doesn't necessarily equate to good work or safe business. Take a look at any musical artist that puts out a different album. It generally polarizes the fan base. Take a look at any reboot of a cartoon. It generally polarizes the fan base. Heck, take a look at any game that took a major shift. It generally polarizes the fan base. Even though some people take comfort in having things be the same, it doesn't mean that we should strive to be content. And with Cartoon Network, have they been a little too safe? Have they been a little too repetitive? Have their habits seemed a little naked? Well, before we go forward, I just want to define the word tendency. Cambridge Dictionary defines it as a likelihood to happen, or to have a particular characteristic or effect, or simply something that usually happens a certain way. This means that there will be exceptions, but the outlier is generally the exception, not the pattern. For example, you have shows like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and DreamWorks shows that aren't even 2D. So now that we talked about Cartoon Network's tendency to have a certain style of animation, let's talk branding.
Your favorite shows are
New, 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 new.
because Cartoon Network is
New, 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 new.
new, 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 new.
New, 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 new. New, 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 new. New, 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 new.
New, 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 new.
New, new, new. New, 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 new.
New, 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 new. New, 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 new. Friday night or
Vice versa, maybe 4 times.
In marketing, repetition is very powerful. If you can have someone remember a phrase that you mention over and over, that can be a great way to keep the brand in mind. And all major companies do something similar to this. Oh, and if you think that the melody that they use with the phrase isn't intentional, McDonald's has been doing the same strategy. In fact, Geico has been using the same slogan for a very long time. But why do I bring this up? Because everything is new with Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network has a tendency to treat anything that isn't new or fresh different. Whether it is the silent dumping of regular show to the almost unheard of presence for Adventure Time and Uncle Grandpa during their last leg grasp for relevancy, to Cartoon Network's ruthless demotions of Mighty Magiswords, Wabbit, and other Boomerang residents. Cartoon Network is about what's new and what works, which isn't a bad mindset when looked at from a blanket overview perspective, but sometimes things don't work right away or click 100% in terms of animation or ratings. I'll take 2 shows that just needed some time before people got into it and grew in terms of either ratings or general quality. You have Rick and Morty and Adventure Time, 2 shows that have slowly grew in ratings from their first season. Quality wise, which is subjective, is shows like Clarence and Regular Show, 2 shows that I believe have gotten better through their first seasons. If any of these shows were nixed before the first season because they weren't able to deliver just yet, would we get those seasons if Cartoon Network was that cutthroat? And if you don't think this is happening, just take a look at Nickelodeon. Oh yeah, I'll get to them soon. So should Cartoon Network be as cutthroat considering that shows could get objectively better in terms of ratings or subjectively better in terms of their overall quality? No, I don't think that Cartoon Network should have the practice that they currently do, which is after the first season slowly give up on it if it hasn't overly delivered. But when I think of Cartoon Network now, their slogan, their brand, new, 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 does that show a lack of interest of where they came from and what got them to where they are? Not explicitly. When I see New X4, I don't think of Cartoon Planet. They're a way of showing old shows to celebrate their 20th anniversary. I think of the fact that they slapped together a lackluster bumper that couldn't have taken that long with a proper team, and an exhibit that lasted for less than a month that was their way to celebrate their 25th anniversary. Now, one may point out Teen Titans, an older show that they show and promote as if it was new, and you would think that would be the chain in my argument that breaks it. And to that I say, not so fast. I have speculated that they aren't showing Teen Titans because they care about the hardcore fans that do like Teen Titans, those same fans that most likely also dislike Teen Titans Go, the show that they're banking on. So hear me out. Teen Titans Go is releasing a movie, and such movie at the scale that it's at takes a large amount of time, and more importantly, a large amount of money. Now attention is valuable towards getting a movie to do well. So what seems like a great idea? Airing the original Teen Titans. Why? Because if they air Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, you are thinking about the entire franchise, and you're getting fans of both shows, and you're always thinking about anything Teen Titans related. Yes, they can decrease the amount of times that Teen Titans Go is played, but replacing it with Teen Titans is still having you think about the franchise. Now, is it absurd to think that Cartoon Network is airing Teen Titans as a way to get people talking about about the franchise around the same time that they announced that they're working on a Teen Titans Go movie. Well, they started airing reruns around August 7th of 2017 and announced the movie around September 25th of 2017, a little under 2 months. Maybe I'm drawing connections that shouldn't be drawn, but either I'm a marketing genius because I found the correlation of airing more versions of Teen Titans, which would get more people to know about the movie, or Cartoon Network just decided to air Teen Titans and only Teen Titans from what it looks like, and it has no correlation whatsoever. And I don't want to say it's their sole reason. Maybe they did want to give back to the fans, but it feels like too much of a win-win situation in which they only pulled the trigger when it benefited them. New X4, even when it's an old show, it is still used to promote the new X4. But wouldn't the outrage be bad for marketing and business? Well, let me tell you a story. I will read a quote from the News Statesman. The most infamous is Protein World, the little-known fitness brand that soared to notoriety after their Beachbody Ready adverts in April 2015. Protesters vandalized the adverts, which were considered sexist body shaming, and they were promptly scrapped after a social media campaign. But that didn't matter. Thanks to the viral backlash, millions of people saw the adverts, and Protein World made 1 million euros in 4 days. This is not an isolated case. With more and more companies harnessing the power of outrage marketing, a tactic to use controversy to gain extra eyes on the product, it is a proven way to use people to spread the word about something, even if they are hating on it. Putting on the speculation hat, the Emoji Movie made over 217 million in the box office, and something tells me that a good percentage of people watched it, despite thinking that it wasn't going to be good. It didn't matter if the backlash was huge, because many people wouldn't care 2 weeks in. Admit it, you don't have that same fiery passion about the YouTube Rewind, Emoji Movie, or Big Mouth anymore. But they have your view, they have your tweet, and they have your dollar. Teen Titans Go has used controversy to keep eyes on the product, between Let's Get Serious, Return of Slade, The Fourth Wall, or finally a lesson. But how does this relate to how Cartoon Network has a tendency to do things a certain way? Well, besides this week, the last true week of 2017, you had both this Thanksgiving and last year's Thanksgiving, where the outrage of Teen Titans Go airing almost, if not all the time, was the subject of many people in our community over the internet. They have a tendency of airing Teen Titans Go despite the outrage it would cost. However, this is a small part of the pie. This is where many people start and stop. The schedule, the shows. Cartoon Network is not just a schedule. Cartoon Network is not just a group of shows. It's a company. I decided to put my small portion of the schedule in the middle just to show you that there is more than just the schedule when it comes to Cartoon Network. And the rabbit hole goes very deep, but unfortunately I'm only going to talk about repetition for this video and tendencies. So although many videos start and stop with the schedule's frequency, we aren't done just yet. There is one more point I want to get to. AT&T offered to purchase Time Warner for over $100 billion, which, like the whole Disney and Fox situation, isn't as simple as it seems. It makes companies, especially media companies, a lot more powerful and able to control a certain narrative or message if they so please. Mind you, net neutrality and SOPA generally linger around the large media companies, generally under traditional media, because the internet gives us freedom, control, and an anonymous stance. 3 things that are the antithesis of traditional media, whether it comes from newspapers that give a very hard and fast control over the story, radio that gives little freedom over what to play, and cable television which has full reign over what you see. Streaming and on-demand platforms give you back the control to play whatever, whenever, wherever, however. So when I do see people upset that Teen Titans Go is branded as our new show, if we lived back in a time without streaming or the internet, it very well may have been. It would have had a higher chance to be, because we might not have had another choice when it came to Cartoon Network, hypothetically if it was around at that time. I find it poetic that the acquired show from Time Warner just so happens to be a show being used to push a certain style, similar to how big companies have been trying to get more control over the internet. Similar to Johnny Test, a show that came from Kids WB, and if you know what WB stands for, and if you know that Johnny Test was airing a lot back then, you can see that anything that comes from Warner Brothers others directly may not be the best thing. Cartoon Network has a tendency to want to control the narrative, and being new isn't as new as you'd think. We have CN Real, an attempt to switch their focus to live-action programming, because it was new and presumed to work, but backfired. I might get into that later on, but we are nearing the end of the video, and I want to keep focus. We have the constant barrage of Teen Titans Go surrounding other shows such as Steven Universe or the regular show finale, which may lead some to think that Teen Titans Go is more influential and wanted. We have the constant marketing towards a young boys market, with only a handful of exceptions. All of these are on the business and broad side, and although the company, whether controlled by AT&T or Time Warner, has millions of dollars, but they will never be able to buy guaranteed quality. It doesn't matter if Teen Titans Go airs too much. It matters that Cartoon Network as a whole might be too complacent or afraid to fail. That mindset could potentially snowball into a lot of disastrous events. This is literally the equivalent of choosing your favorite fighter in a game because you know you'll beat whoever with them. However, with all of this schedule spam, I wonder how much people can take before they actually start losing money. I don't know. Considering that this came about last year, last Thanksgiving, you would think if it didn't work, that they wouldn't do it anymore. Does it work? So whether all of the moments you see come from the same lens, from a network that fears exploring the uncharted, just know that although their efforts may seem repetitive and lazy, it's deliberate. Their intentions are clear, and they don't mind a little upset. But just remember that they can't weave the story if no one hears it in the first place. My friends, what I've learned from Cartoon Network this year is that they have lost their colors, and have become complacent, and amalgamable. If only they knew that their target is the pathway to a loss of self, we should recognize that Cartoon Network's black and white colors present proudly and intentionally. They have put away their apron in exchange for a more uniform future.
Hey, sweetie, when can we watch our show?
When Teen Titans Go is over.
Okay, no worries.
That's all I have to say on the subject. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think Cartoon Network has become too black and white and repetitive all over? Or maybe you have a counter argument. I would love to read them all. The links for my social media is down below. Make sure to follow me at the ALPHAJ Show and go into the request video to comment a request for a future video. If you really like this video, I have another video about this subject, but more focused on Teen Titans Go. Make sure to subscribe and feel free to consider my Patreon. As always, I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.